What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Ah! Ah!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. How are we doing? Who are you? Why are you here? What's going on? Who am I? I don't know. I'm Law Rex. I'm Legal Vices, and this here is my little channel, Legal Vices. Whew. It's a day, isn't it? Sorry to be late. I have an excuse, as I always do. Every day, I always have an excuse as to why I'm late. This time it's semi-legitimate. I was just enjoying a lovely Cuban cigar. It was like an $80 cigar, and I was trying to enjoy it for every last second I possibly could. And because you can't rush that. That's just, you know. And so I finished that off, and I ran straight home, and I threw everything all together, and we got everything here just a little bit late. So that's my story. I was enjoying a cigar, and you know, it was a very, very nice cigar. It was a Monte Cristo number 2 if you're into Cuban cigars. So it just can't be rushed. But well, we had to sacrifice a little preparation time. So that's we're gonna have to set this one up on the fly if you don't mind. Because yeah, I don't have anything pulled up yet. I just literally barreled home, grabbed stuff for the cocktail of the day, and sat down here, fired up the computer grill, and just got here. So please forgive me for being slightly late. Is this a new hat? Asks Puddingway. No, this is not. Well, it depends. It depends when the last time you watched the stream was. I got it at Anime Matsuri in August, so it's about a month old. As a matter of fact, looking at last week's stream, this is what I was wearing last Thursday. And speaking of last Thursday, we have our very own Chandler Remington, who's backstage but not at her station. So while she is not at her station, I will quickly burn through the cocktail of the day. So that we can get that out of the way, and then we can get down to some OJ business. How does that sound? Let's do that. Today is a classic cocktail, specifically and particularly around the Kentucky Derby. It's the ever delicious, great early summer, late spring, fall time mint julep. Should be made with a Woodford Reserve, but I frankly didn't have time to dig through my shelves of whiskey to find my Woodford Reserve bottle. So we're going to be making our mint julep with Maker's Mark, the whiskey preferred apparently by Amber Heard's area, or so the allegations go. Right, folks, let's do this. Hey, everybody, today's cocktail of the day is the classic mint julep, the traditional whiskey or the traditional cocktail of the Kentucky Derby horse race. We want to start out with a good bourbon, so we are doing Maker's Mark. Traditionally, it would be a Woodford Reserve or something along those lines, but we're using Maker's Mark today. I've sort of pre-made this. What you want to do is put a little bit of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of powdered sugar. Powdered sugar makes all the difference. It's confectioner's sugar, depending on where you're from. Put 1 teaspoon of that. Get a bunch of mints, bunch of mint leaves, and just like crush them in your hand to bruise them a little bit. Put them in the bottom of the glass. 2 teaspoons of water. And once the 2 teaspoons of water in, just gently muddle the leaves. Don't crush the mint leaves or break them up. Just gently tap them and bruise them a bit so you get all those mint oils that come out. And once you do that, fill your glass with ice and then add about 2 ounces of your bourbon to the mix. Pour that right in. And if you'll notice, we seem to have a lot of room left over. So because I'm the Lorax, I'm going to add another 2 ounces because why not? There we go. That looks a little more decadent. And once you've added that, give it a good stir to chill it up and to mix the mint leaves, get them kind of going up there. And if I would have used a smaller glass, then you would just add a little mint garnish on top to make it look pretty. But I decided to use some merch glass rather than, so you could see what was going on inside. Traditionally, you would use like a copper or stainless steel cup, sort of like you'd use for a Moscow Mule or a Kentucky Mule. But I wanted to use some Lorax merch. So that's what we used for today's cocktail, the mint julep. Sweet, bourbony, and minty, just the way I like it. All right. Chandler is still missing. I hope Chandler. Oh, wait, there's some messages here. Aha, she's here, but her camera is not working. Is she? Okay. This is gonna be a Chandlerless day. She's just gonna be sitting here. Take away that and at least let us see your face on your profile picture. Here she is, Chandler Remington. Hi, Chandler.
Hi. I don't know what happened. I became the court today.
Well, you can take that away and let us see your avatar at least. So we at least get your head there.
I'm trying. I'm trying, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
It doesn't even do that. I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm having some issues ever since I did my virtual background yesterday for our Depheard sidebars. Something weird happened with my camera. I tried to do a reset and it's still like this. So I'm gonna just turn it off and see. It might work. But hi everybody and good morning and welcome to OJ Thursdays. Let me try this. That's me.
There you go.
At least you can see my face. So hi.
At least we can. All right, everybody. This is our Chandler Remington, the co-host of our OJ Thursdays. This is just kind of a chill stream where we go back 28 years into the past and we watch the yes, we know Pudding Way. We go 28 years back in the past. She's abandoned us. And we watch some of the OJ trial. We are still watching Dennis Fung's assistant, ANDREA Mazzola, being cross-examined by Peter Neufeld, who is Donald Sutherland from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was the clip we played at the beginning. And Chandler is back. Hi again, Chandler.
Hi. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
All right. Well,
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. Oh, well, that happens. But you are back, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Other than the tech stuff, I'm in a good mood.
Well, that's good. All righty. Well, I'm still setting up from last week. I've got the timestamp for where we need to be. Sorry again for all of this ridiculous delay, people. It's a thing because I was smoking a cigar.
Oh, how was the cigar?
It was wonderful. That's why I was late. Yeah.
That's a reasonable reason to be late.
Right. Let's see. We are on. See, I'm matching her clothes. Here, is this the one we're on? Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm doing something backstage. I'm comparing. Yes, this is the one we want. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And we go 30 minutes into this. Great. So we will be with you right here in just a quickie. 27, 28, 29. That's close enough to 30 for us to start there. Okay, now we've got the video up at least. So that's a good thing. Sorry to keep all of you here waiting in chat, but I thought it would be better just to look at my mug and say hi while I was doing all of this and to bring Chandler on so that you weren't just waiting, wondering if I was alive or dead. Joe Choi won an appeal of some sort today, and it's the best day. Well, congratulations on winning whatever appeal it was you won.
That's
now, see, I've got a thing. I've got a story to freaking tell.
Oh?
Last night, I went to sleep. And see, when I tell you that YouTube does things, please take me seriously. When I say they randomly unsubscribe people, they do, and they do in a bad way. Usually, like I said, it's about 20 a day, 30 a day. But last night, I went to sleep with 63,747 subscribers. 63,747. I woke up with 61,611 and then it went down to 610. So by the time I ended the stream, which was about 12:30 my time, and I woke up at 7 a.m., so in 6.5 hours, they deleted 2,137 subscriptions.
Oh, God. Seriously?
And of course, that caused panic. And it wasn't just me. Eric Hunley from Laid Back News and others, he got nailed for 200, and other people were getting nailed. As far as I know, I was the king of getting subscriptions yeeted yesterday, and that started a big hot mess where people apparently were bombarding YouTube with what the hell is going on. So about, what was it, an hour and a half ago, they were all reinstated because enough people complained about it that they went and they fixed whatever happened. So all of the subscriptions are back, and my blood pressure has gone down significantly. I was fit to be tied today because, as KT says, YouTube is asshole. Yeah, and there's also another glitch that this was a glitch. Not all of, but a huge portion of YouTube's creators have had all of their mods, their banned people, and their banned words just deleted from the studio. They're still there. You're still mods, but I can't see the lists anymore. So that's one thing they're working out. But I think they prioritized getting people's subscribers back because it started a firestorm.
That sounds glitchy.
We are back. Did Jeff dye his mustache? I never dye my mustache. Why would I do that? That would be weird.
I mean, it would make sense if you were going to dye anything, I guess.
Yeah. No, I don't dye my mustache. That'd be dumb.
It looks the normal color to me.
Flux says, there is the proof they're fucking with us. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or like, principle of parsimony. They have technical errors and, Or, no, I agree with Flux. They're messing with us intentionally to drive us crazy.
Yep.
Good morning, Flux. And good morning, everybody else who has joined us on this lovely OJ Thursday.
Yeah, and hopefully it will be an even lovelier. I didn't have time to do a poll. I'll throw up something lame here once we start the video, just to get it taken care of. Gin Nerd Legal Advice says maybe they're just the people you banned. I don't know what that means. No, that's a good way to get yourself banned.
Perhaps referring to all of the number fluctuations.
Probably. There's not 2,000 people that deserve to be banned.
No, that's a lot of people.
There's only a handful, and you know who you are. So there we go. Yeah, you know who you are. Alex Murdoch is in court now. Jeff on LNC. I don't care. Alan, I don't care. This is OJ Thursday. But also,
remember, it's
Sarah
just Friday,
Boone.
So.
Yeah, Sarah Boone was in trial. Was in court yesterday. So Monday, as I've already told people. What the hell? I have the USB problem I had yesterday reared its ugly head when I plugged something else into that jack. So I think I have a bad USB jack.
Or it's that ghost that came in here last week.
Yeah, we had a ghost here. Yeah, we had a shrieky ghost here last week. I don't know if y'all saw that. That was pretty wild.
That was really wild, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. All right, just trying to see if I think we got everything we need to actually get the show on the road. So thank you everybody for being here. I have no idea what the hell's going on because I haven't brought up the studio. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to start this. We'll start Andrea Mazzola's cross-examination, continuation, and then I'll do all the other stuff so we don't have to make you wait anymore. But first and foremost, make sure you hit like and please, for God's sake, subscribe. I don't want another heart attack like I had yesterday. And while you're at it, make sure you hit, what's your name? I keep wanting to call you Remy because I just look at you. Anyway, Chandler Remington, at Remy_legal. That's the channel name. So make sure you go over there and subscribe to her, like her videos, watch all of them, and take care of her because she deserves it.
And if you don't like my content, you can absolutely leave a comment and tell me why because it helps the algorithm. I'd love to hear why I'm wrong.
Hate views are views, man. That's all I got to say.
Tell me all about it. And you can dislike my content too, because again, algorithm. So learning some stuff.
All right, and the last scheduled thing we have is tomorrow is my F It Friday, my monthly F It Friday stream, where it's just a pure, let's all have fun, get together and have fun griftathon. It's a booze fest where you bring all your super chat money and you throw it at me in a big pile in exchange for me having a wonderful panel of guests, and I'm getting liquored up. Of course, the standard rules are $100 is a shot. If there's $100 or more super chat, then we use a premium whiskey as the shot. If it's just an amalgamation, if it's just of lower, and it doesn't matter, a dollar super chat is just as valuable as a $500 one to me, because it all goes towards the booze fund, and the aggregate $100 shots is a lower shelf. But it doesn't matter. It's all just about you throwing all your money at me one day a month, so I don't have to grift for the rest of the month. And then we have a panel of guests. The panel of guests lined up for tomorrow, the yeses and definite maybes are, here's our list so far, and other people will come in as the day wears on. But we're going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is 2 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Korea, and 11 p.m. Canberra time. So the guest list so far for tomorrow is that Star Wars girl, Anna, potentially criminal Sean, Chrissy Mayer, Lila Hart, Good Logic, Megan Fox, Natalie Wisco, Steve Gosney, Nina Infinity, Runkle of the Bailey, Ozzy Overlord, Chandler Remington, Ari Jacob, Lauren De Laguna, Waifu Kron Jess, and 2 newcomers to the F It Friday stream, Lady Law 579 and Talk with Sally. And as
Sally's
I speak,
coming. Oh, I love Sally. Sally's wonderful.
And as I'm just getting a message right now from Steph the Altar Nerd. What does Steph the Altar Nerd say? She would love to come. I will try to make it.
Yay.
So, add Steph the Altar Nerd to that list. And then as the day goes on, people will come and go. And we'll just have a ripping good time as long as your money keeps coming and as long as my liver holds up. And Marv White is starting us off with a $5 super chat. Let's effing go! And Petey Warren pulling up with the second super chat of the evening. Petey Warren 0829. Last week you made me feel bad for thinking of Nipples and Chandler because of your show. It wasn't me. Then you told 2 beautiful women to stop talking about breasts the next day. You're the problem, Jeff, not me. Sorry.
I don't know what all that refers to, but Petey, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
Well, it may be.
Well, it was Megan Fox. She had Anna's breasts on her face for a few minutes, and things like that. Mm-hmm. But anywho, that's where we sit. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. So without further ado, as the French say, do you like my French pronunciation? I'm French.
It could use a little work, but
no, it can't.
Not bad.
No, it's perfect. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
My family speaks French, but okay.
Well, apparently not. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
I'm here. Don't let him do it, people.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh,
you look...
Yes, I know. I know very well that I am frozen.
You look
This is not what I want. Oh,
no,
okay, we're
now.
back. Wow, that was weird.
I thought you were just pulling a stunt because I said that your French accent was subpar.
No, I would have blocked you before I blocked myself.
Oh, yeah. Well,
because
I thought you were going to kick me out.
Well, now, this is interesting.
You still could if you wanted to.
All right, my Lord. Let me remove this and try to do this all over again. This is what happens when you get home late, people. Bad things happen. Let's go to... Here we go. This is the one we want. Oh, that works so much better, doesn't it? Oh, and that works perfectly. All right. Hey, chat. Hey, Joe. Here's Hey Joe saying, hey, chat. Hey.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Lots of haze.
Yes. It's the Korean ghost intercepting his internet. Nope, it's just me. I wish I could blame that one on a ghost. But alrighty. Do they speak French or New Orleans or Nolans French? That's a Creole.
Who speak my family? Is that the question?
Probably. I don't know.
My Marrakesh, but it's pretty much just typical like academic French. I grew up listening to it, so my accent's pretty good. My grammar's terrible though. I can only speak in the present tense, not in the past, not in the future. Just the present.
You just live for the now.
Exactly. It's be here now. You know, it's like very LA.
Be handler, be here now.
Yeah, precisely. So, you know, I get away with it. I can converse with a 5-year-old, and I don't have to do that. So.
Well, now that be handler is here now, let's get on with. Ooh, turn on the volume. That helps. Let's go with Andrea Mazzola. Cross-examination by Donald Sutherland. Why must you be like this? Why must you be this? Why must you be this way?
I don't know, Jeff. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on.
Nothing, apparently. Right.
Well, while you're trying to get that up, I wanted to tell the audience what I found yesterday.
What did you found yesterday?
I found a bottle of bourbon
yes.
that was shaped like strawberry. It looked exactly like strawberry. It's on my little.
It was cute.
My little local liquor store has this like decorative shelf that I never noticed because it's behind you when you pay. And I looked and I turned around and there's strawberry staring at me, and apparently she's full of bourbon. So I have to tweet that because I think people are gonna like it.
You should tweet that. It was cute.
It's adorable, nice. And I really wanted to get it for. You know, I might still get it for you, honestly, if I can figure out how to pack it right.
Well, as I said, it would be illegal to send bourbon through the mail from the U.S.
Yeah, but I could still send the bottle, though. It's super cute.
Yes. All right.
Put it on Twitter.
I think we're good to go. Let's
awesome.
See. We are. Boom. All right, people. Okay. Fine. Ladies and gentlemen, third time is the charm. Andrea Mazzola, cross-examination by Donald Sutherland. And as soon as I read this thing from PD Warren 089, and Chandler, I'm never around when you stream. Any other way I can send you a chat. If you look down at the bottom, you can leave a comment, obviously. But if you look down at the bottom of the screen on a replay, there's a little $ where you can send a super thanks. So you can do that to send a creator something wonderful whilst they're not streaming. So at the bottom of every screen for people that are monetized, there's a little $ there that allows you to leave a super thanks.
And
same thing as a super chat.
So there's that too.
And there's all that too.
You're very welcome to. You don't, you know, it would be my pleasure and my honor. I appreciate it.
Surfing Bird, yes, it is illegal to send alcohol from inside of the U.S. anywhere, unless you are a licensed person who is authorized by the feds to do that, because that's how the feds roll.
Yeah, there are lots of complicated laws about, you know, who can sell liquor and where they can sell liquor, and it's just too much. So
yep. Thank you, ATF.
Maybe I can find a way to get it to you anyway.
Yes, maybe. But for now, let's get rolling with Andrea Mazzola.
Let's do it.
Go.
Evidence collection. On June 13th, you don't know in your own head what's going to be important to an investor.
Okay, and we're sorry to pause you there. I just wanted to give you a little quick, very, very quick, I swear to God, recap of where we're at. This is Peter Neufeld cross-examining her on the fact that they do not write down contemporaneously when they collect evidence. They don't write down who collected it or when it was collected, etc., unless they think it's going to be important. They her and Fung made the determination of which pieces of evidence were going to be important and wrote those down. But the other pieces of evidence they didn't think were going to be important, they didn't write down who collected it and whatnot. So later, months, if not years later, when this particular piece of evidence became important, he and her, Fung and Andrea Mazzola, had to come back together, get together, and try to remember who collected what pieces of evidence, and then they would fill in the form that should have been filled out on the day of the investigation. He's hammering her on that point.
To get her to a prosecutor 6 months down the road. Isn't that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
And isn't that another reason why they want you to write everything down so other people later on will be able to reconstruct what happened?
Sustained. Phrase the question.
Would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that you can't anticipate during the actual crime scene collection phase which details will be important to the investigation 6 months hence?
No, it's not.
You've already asked that question.
Ms. Mazzola, one of the requirements on these forms is to note for each item collected, the location it is found. Is that right?
Yes.
State's facts not evidence to requirements.
Overruled.
Yes,
And another item on the form is time, the time each item is collected. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And another item that up until August 23rd, you believed you were required to fill out was by whom the item was collected. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And so, ma'am, if as recently as August 23rd, you believed you were required to fill out these reports completely, you also operated under that belief when you were present on June 13th and June 14th to participate in the crime scene investigation of Mr. Simpson's case. Isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
So why didn't you?
Did you ever receive any handouts from your superiors at the Los Angeles Police Department?
Did you ever receive a
informing you
handy from
of
your
the
superiors?
importance of keeping accurate and complete records?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever receive a handout from your superiors at the Los Angeles Police Department entitled Quality Assurance and Quality Control?
That doesn't sound familiar.
Have you ever heard that term?
I've heard the terms before, but just not in the context that you're
If I
speaking.
showed you a document, might it refresh your recollection?
I hope so. Otherwise, you don't know the
May I, Your
document
Honor?
exists. And that's a problem if you don't know the document exists.
Just read this to yourself. Okay?
Can you do that? Can you read? All right, we're creating a stupid like and subscribe poll here, so stand by. A point, she doesn't move her lips while she's reading. That's a good thing.
Ms. Mazzola, I ask you again, have you ever received a handout from your superiors at the Los Angeles Police Department SID unit instructing you that you were required to keep complete and accurate field notes?
That page does not look familiar to me.
Okay, well, separate apart from actually receiving a handout, at some point at this mini academy, did your instructors ever teach you that it was very important in terms of your professional responsibility to make accurate and complete field notes?
You better say
Is
yes.
that something that they taught you?
I believe so.
You believe so? She was literally just asked, isn't it a good idea to fill out your forms properly, completely, and correctly? And she had to think about it. And her answer was, I believe so. That's her knowing she's got to give a really crappy answer. And it's not that she knows she doesn't have to say yes. She knows she has to say yes, but yes is a really crappy answer. So she's trying to think of the best way possible to say, yeah. And that's what she came up with, apparently, was, I believe so.
And were you taught, Ms. Mazzola, that if swatches, for instance, were not properly marked, packaged, and identified, they could get mixed up?
That's correct.
And were you taught that if items of evidence were not properly packaged and identified, it made it easy for someone to tamper with those items?
That was never brought up.
You were never received any instruction at all during your entire time at this mini academy on taking measures to avoid evidence tampering?
No one would tamper with the evidence.
That's an assumption you're making, is it not, Ms. Mazzola?
Argumentative, sustained.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you can certainly speak for yourself, is that correct?
It's argument.
Overruled.
I can speak for myself, and I know the people I work with.
And you're saying, Ms. Mazzola, that there's nobody who you ever met, who you know at the Los Angeles Police Department who would ever tamper with evidence. Is that right?
The people I know wouldn't.
And Ms. Mazzola, you also said it was your impression that you've never made a mistake at all in the handling of crime scene evidence. Is that correct?
Sustained.
Ms. Mazzola, would the people that you work with at the SID ever make a mistake in the handling of crime scene evidence?
Sustained.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you said a moment ago that you had been taught to keep accurate and complete field notes during the
See
training.
counsel at the sidebar, please.
Ooh, and while Judge Ito is seeing counselor at sidebar, he's upset about something. Let's just make sure that you are all aware that Fire Pixie has been a member for 1 month of the Clean and Sober crew. Hello, Fire Pixie. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you can hear, but Strawberry is chewing on a plastic bottle behind me. So I'll have to sort that out in a minute. And Marv White with a $2 super chat. It's only illegal if you get caught. It's only illegal if you get caught. Yep. Well, no. That would be bad advice. It is still illegal to do illegal things. It's just better for you personally if you don't get caught. And we have our like and subscribe poll up. As lame as it is, it's all I could think of on the fly. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We've got currently 171 people and 93 likes. So about 80 of you haven't done your job. Get down there, hit that like button and take our poll. We have 32 votes currently. Like and subscribe and then vote. Vices was 5 minutes late because of smoking a premium Cuban cigar. That's understandable. Jury is still out. You made us wait, but forgivable. And you should be buried in an anthill. Those are your 4 choices. And so far, everybody wants to bury me in an anthill. Well, shit. All right. And Chandler, are you still with us? Chandler, are you still with us? Chandler. I guess the answer to that question is no. All right. She'll be back, I hope. Let's continue.
Thank you, counsel. Proceed.
I wish we
Mazzola,
could
would you
edit
agree
out
that-
sidebars in real trials.
At least on June 13th, in these notes, Dennis Fung did not keep complete field notes.
That is a new question. You can answer that question.
Not you can, you have to.
Yes.
Brilliant. Oh, right there. Did you hear that in her voice? Listen to the tone of her voice as she is forced under oath in the highest profile murder case in California, probably since was the Manson trial? Was that in Nevada or California? I believe it was that I believe it was California. But probably the highest profile case since the Manson trial. And she just had to admit that her superior, the guy in charge of collecting evidence, did not do his job. She had to sacrifice her boss right there on the altar of the court. Listen to how thrilled she was. Listen to that tone in her voice. Whew. This is sad. This poor woman just had to literally throw her boss under the crime scene investigation bus.
So proceed.
Listen to that. Oh,
So Mazzola, would you agree that at least on June 13th, in
Why
these
not?
notes, Dennis Fung did not keep complete field notes?
listen to her voice.
That is a new question. You can answer that question.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, my boss sucks.
Well, when you got back to the laboratory, either on June 13th or on June 14th, did you tell Dennis Fung that he hadn't kept complete and accurate field notes for June 13th?
Overruled.
What doesn't call for hearsay?
I didn't tell Mr. Fung anything like that.
Did
And
you
now
go
she-
to either Ms. Kessler, the head of the
Now she's forced to admit that she screwed up. She didn't tell her boss to do it right. She didn't tell the crime scene lab people to do things right. Now she has to sacrifice herself.
Laboratory. Did you go to her and tell her that the person you were working with that day did not comply with the requirement as you believed at that time, that is to keep complete field notes?
No,
Did you go to Mr. Matheson, the number 2 person, and tell him that your teammate had failed to follow the requirement of keeping complete field notes?
Sustain. Did you tell anybody about this?
no,
Move on.
Ooh.
Ms. Mazzola, you said that after August 23rd, you were told that you do not have to fill out all the boxes and columns on these field reports. Is that correct? It's foundation, moving into a new subject, Ron, I guess.
She's already been asked and answered that question, Counsel.
Who taught you that some of these boxes and some of these columns do not have to be filled out, Ms. Mazzola?
I had just talked to some of the other criminalists.
Which criminalist, Ms. Mazzola, told you that you don't have to fill out every box and every column on these field notes? What are their names?
I
That's
don't-
irrelevant, Counsel. If that's what she testified to, that's the fact she's testified to. Who told her? Doesn't matter. Let's proceed.
Were they supervisors?
They were more experienced criminalists.
Were they supervisors in the laboratory like Mr. Matheson and Ms. Kessler?
Overruled.
No,
They didn't tell you that, did they?
no,
And Ms. Mazzola, you were taught by Mr. Matheson and Ms. Kessler that these reports specifically were prepared to be filled out by criminalists at the scene. Isn't that correct?
no,
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you said, and I quote, that some boxes don't apply to the criminalist at the scene. Let's start with the box that says collected by, Ms. Mazzola.
Oh no.
Is it your
Oh no. He's going to march her through this form because she said that some of the boxes on the evidence collection form don't apply when you're on scene. So he's going to march right on through and say, okay, where it says the person that collected the evidence, is that important to the on scene? And she's going to have to say, yes, 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 yes. He's just eviscerating her here, and she still has 2 or 3 more days on the stand to go. It's going Fung up real quick. And as long as we're paused here, does this channel give relationship advice? Yeah, why not? Probably bad, seeing with my track record and everything, but
Who needs relationship advice?
Chandler's here. Hi, Chandler.
Were you not? I was wondering why you couldn't hear anything I was saying.
No, that's why I was saying, are you here? Are you here? Because you were muted.
Oh gosh,
So I thought you were gone.
Shoot.
No. Yeah,
Sorry.
Sorry. And Daily Quick Buy says, are you familiar with Vonnegut's Chinese temple bell story? Ting-a-ling, son of a bitch. Yes, I am.
Wait, which Vonnegut is that from?
Kurt.
No, which Kurt Vonnegut novel is it from? Do you know?
I think it's just a quote.
Well, I feel like a lot of his stories are from his books. I've read a number of Kurt Vonnegut books, but I can't remember which one that one is from. It sounds like maybe it was from Cat's Cradle.
I've just heard the story. It's a very short story. No, it wasn't from Cat's Cradle.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think it was just an anecdote of sorts. But anyway.
Is it Breakfast of Champions? It could have been.
I don't think so. But anyway, just Google if you're not familiar with it.
Okay.
The Vonnegut Chinese temple bell story. It's not something we're going to be talking about. I am. That's funny, Gin Nerd. See, that's how you be funny and not get banned.
Different dude.
It's definitely not Slaughterhouse-5. All right, let's go.
Your testimony that the
Slaughterhouse
box where they're asking
Somebody
you to
didn't
write
check.
down
Oh.
Don't take it
who it
personally.
is who collected each item doesn't apply to the criminals at the scene? Yes or no?
Oh my Christ, she's thinking about this? She's thinking about this question, which was, is it important to put down the identity of the person who collects the evidence at the crime scene on the crime scene evidence collection form?
Now, Jeff, be nice. She's watching her career flash before her eyes.
Oh, no.
Ms. Mazzola, you said that after August 23rd, you were told that you do not have to fill out all the boxes and columns on these field reports. Is that correct?
Oh,
It's foundation. I'm moving into a new subject.
oh just
She's
listen
already
to this
been asked
poor
and answered
woman.
that question, Counsel.
Sorry we had to go back so far, but yeah.
You feel
Who
bad for
taught
her?
you that some of these boxes and some of these columns do not have to be filled out, Ms. Mazzola?
I had just talked to some of the other criminalists.
Which criminalist, Ms. Mazzola,
Did I
told
skip
you that
ahead?
you don't have to fill out every box and every
I
column
heard.
on these field notes? What are their names?
I
That's
don't-
irrelevant, Counsel. If that's
Mm-hmm.
what she testified to, that's the fact she's testifying to. Who told her? Doesn't matter. Let's proceed.
Were they supervisors?
They were more experienced criminalists.
Were they supervisors in the laboratory like Mr. Matheson and Ms. Kessler?
Overruled.
No,
They didn't tell you that, did they?
no.
I knew that
And
they had
Ms.
it with another.
Mazzola, you were taught by Mr. Matheson and Ms. Kessler that these reports specifically were prepared to be filled out by criminalists at the scene. Isn't that correct?
No,
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you said, and I quote, that some boxes don't apply to the criminalist at the scene. Let's start with the box that says collected by, Ms. Mazzola.
Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to her think.
Is it your testimony that the box where they're asking you to write down who it is who collected each item doesn't apply to the criminalist at the scene? Yes or no?
Who collected the evidence at the scene is not an important box. Oh my God.
as of June 13th, I was informed we were working as a team. The box was not necessary to be filled out.
Ms. Mazzola, the first time you were told that was August 23rd, that you didn't have to fill out all these boxes. Isn't that correct?
No, it was June 13th.
Ms. Mazzola, isn't it relevant to know who collected the item of evidence for purposes of establishing a chain of custody? Were you taught that?
Clearly. Yes. Just rip the Band-Aid off, Mazzola. What does she have to think about this? Oh my God.
It shouldn't be hard.
Not to really establish the chain of custody.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Are you
Ms.
kidding me?
Mazzola, were you taught anything about chain of custody in your training?
Oh, I feel like Emily Baker.
Yes.
Oh my
Were
God.
you taught that the first thing one has to do in establishing a chain of custody is establish who the person is who actually collected the item of evidence?
Overruled.
Weren't you taught that?
I don't believe so.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, let's go on to the ID markings. There's a column on here that says ID mark, is that right?
Yes,
And the mark stands for identification markings, is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Well, weren't you taught that what this column is for you to know what markings you put on a particular item of evidence so it can be identified at a later time as being a particular item that you collected? Weren't you taught that?
No,
Were you ever taught anything with respect to the purpose of the column on your field note report that says ID mark?
I don't remember.
Don't remember being taught that at all?
I might have been taught, I don't remember.
Oh my God.
And Ms. Mazzola, on the crime scene check,
She is literally testifying that she doesn't think it's important to write down the name of the person that collected the evidence at the crime scene when it's collected.
This is infuriating for multiple reasons. I mean, I could get into them.
As Daily Quick Bite says, ain't no chain of custody without an initial custodian, sweetie.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, if her claim is like, oh, all criminologists we are one, and we are one entity, and so, you know, anything that I do could be something that Fung does. It doesn't matter who does it. It's just, you know, we're all like a singular being.
Yeah.
Like, no, come on, are you kidding me? And I know she's had experience working in this field before. She wouldn't have gotten the job if she hadn't done this before. Somebody had to have taught her at some point. So if somebody gave her an excuse to be lazy, that doesn't mean that she can obfuscate on the stand. It's ridiculous.
She doesn't want to be here.
I felt bad for her at first, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, she lost me like today. I was like, poor girl. She has to testify against everybody and try to rehabilitate Fung. They're done rehabilitating Fung. Now they're just crucifying her.
I mean,
And it
honestly, like, they both
continues.
screwed up significantly. And I do think she has worse hair than Marsha Clark, for whoever asked in chat.
Marcia Clark can't keep birds in hers.
Well, that may be a good thing or a bad thing depending on, what you use it for. But I don't know. I was only, anyway, just moving on.
The swallows stop in her hair on their way to Capistrano.
The swallows of Capistrano.
Yeah, they just stop over in LA on their way to San Juan.
Oh God. I'm really sorry you can't see my face.
Me too.
Question that says, has the scene been altered? If so, by whom and how? Isn't there?
Yes.
And in fact, there is 4 lines that follow that question. Isn't that right?
I don't know the exact number of lines.
She smirks like it's like something to be proud of. She doesn't know what her form looks
They
like.
leave you space so you can answer those questions, don't they?
Yes.
And you would agree, ma'am, that that's a very important question, isn't it?
Not if you're LAPD.
Yes.
Well, isn't it relevant to the overall investigation to know whether a crime scene has been altered?
Yes.
In fact, ma'am, if a crime scene has been altered, it could render subsequent scientific analysis unreliable, couldn't it?
I don't have
Yes.
the experience to.
I've never had any experience, and
Answer
I
that.
know the answer is yes.
Well, ma'am, for instance,
Common
if a
sense.
blanket, for instance, was used to alter the crime scene, and it left trace evidence where there had none been previously, that could render an analysis of certain trace evidence unreliable, couldn't it?
It's possible.
All right, and that's why the Los Angeles Police Department Scientific Investigation Division has asked you to fill out this question, has a scene been altered? And if so, by whom and how? Isn't that right?
Yes.
And they taught you in the SID Mini Academy that it's important to know who altered it and how it was altered so you would know whether or not subsequent analysis is worthless. Isn't that right?
No.
Well, wouldn't you want to know the extent to which a crime scene had been altered?
Oh my
and
God.
understanding the value of evidence obtained at that crime scene?
I know the exact answer to this question.
She
You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
What the real answer
For
to
the
this
most
question
part,
is.
What is it?
Okay, the real answer to this question is because I trained with LAPD, they always told me that whatever went wrong, they would just fix it in post. And I don't know if everybody gets that joke, but
That's funny.
it's
a movie thing.
Think about it. It's
That's
anyway.
funny.
I
like
have
that.
to. Thank you.
That's good. All right.
It's fitting, right?
Jim Satala says this is a prime example of how screwed up the justice system has become. Well, this actually sort of put it back on track for a while. Now it's kind of got screwed up again. People get convicted every day with sloppy police work, and they don't care because they get the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, well, this trial really showed people how bad the evidence collection process was, the evidence handling process, the evidence planting process, if you will. And so this led to sweeping reforms in how evidence is collected across the nation. But in the past 28 years, we seem to have come full circle and lost our way.
Well, I wonder if the statistics have changed or if it's, been consistent over time. All I know is that I'm starting to think of it more like, and then we had the prop master, Furman, and we had,
Yeah.
It's like
Prop
it was
master,
just
nice.
he put the glove where it needed to go, and you put a little more blood on that gate over there. It's all like
Yeah.
a movie set. It's ridiculous. Oh God, how did I just get to this now? Ugh. Okay, good.
Marv White, how could anyone be upset with not guilty? A lot of people were.
Well,
A lot of people were.
the jury was correct in their determination. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this morning. Somebody asked me, do OJ now. He used OJ as an example of why juries get it wrong. It's like, no, the jury got it right. There
No.
was reasonable
Yes.
doubt here. And when there's reasonable doubt, you must acquit. I'm sorry, but Cochran was right. If the glove if it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Use OJ as an example of how not to prosecute a case. That's
Yeah.
what you should. That's what you should be using OJ for.
Definitely.
Well, let's get back to Bird Lady of Alcatraz here.
Yeah, let's do it.
you can look at the evidence and sort of tell if it has been trampled through. People at the scene when they first arrive are extremely careful of what they touch, where they step, because of the fact that there is evidence present.
Ms. Mazzola, when you arrived at the Bundy crime scene, how many people were there inside the tape? Approximately.
I don't know.
Well, it was more than a dozen, wasn't there?
I don't know.
Well, there were several detectives.
It's vague.
What?
Was there more than one detective inside the crime scene?
It's possible.
You don't remember? You don't remember who was at the crime scene when you got there, ma'am?
I don't know any of the detectives.
Ma'am, were there people wearing suits who weren't in uniform inside the yellow evidence tape when you arrived at the Bundy crime scene?
Yes.
There are several people who weren't wearing uniforms inside that tape.
Sustained.
Were there more than 5 people not wearing uniforms inside that tape?
I don't remember.
And there were people from the coroner's office inside that tape when you arrived at the scene, weren't there?
Yes.
And ma'am, isn't it fair to say that you cannot assume that no one altered the crime scene before you arrived? Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And isn't it correct, ma'am, that the reason that they asked you to investigate whether the crime scene had been altered is because they don't want you to assume it hadn't been? Isn't that correct?
Overruled.
We do not investigate who has been in the crime scene area.
Ma'am, are you required to investigate whether the crime scene has been altered?
What do you mean by investigate?
Are you required to make a determination as to whether the crime scene has been altered? Isn't that what SID wants you to do when you get to a crime scene, ma'am?
We're close.
What was the last question? I'm sorry.
Hasn't the SID unit of the LA Police Department instructed you to make a determination when you get to the crime scene as to whether it has been altered?
It's vague and overbroad as to determination.
Overruled.
Other than knowing who arrived, I don't see how we can determine if the scene itself had been altered.
Well, you think that one thing you might be able to do is to simply ask a detective whether or not he or she has done anything to alter the scene.
It's possible.
What did they teach you at the SID Mini Academy that you're supposed to do to answer this important question? Has the scene been altered? If so, by whom and how? What did they teach you to do to answer that question?
Just get an idea of who had been there.
Well, once you get an idea of who had been there, Ms. Mazzola, don't you have to ask the people what they did so you can make a determination in your own mind as to whether or not they did in fact alter it?
Oh. Uh-oh.
Didn't they teach you that?
Uh-oh.
Ask them what? When the first officers arrive on the scene, they are looking at the victims. They're not going to remember exactly where they stepped. I don't know what you are asking.
Yes, you do.
Ms.
You just don't want to
Mazzola,
answer it.
Did they teach you at the SID Mini Academy that you were to ask the detectives whether or not they moved any articles of evidence? For starters. Did they teach you that?
Starters.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Did they teach
Of
you,
course they teach you that.
to ask the
Oh my God.
officers who were there or detectives who were there whether they walked into a critical area where there may be shoe prints? Did they teach you that?
I don't believe they went into depth in that question.
Did they
How-
teach you to ask the detectives whether they
How
brought any
in-depth do you have
foreign
to
matter
go? Just
into
ask the
crime
question.
scene, such as a blanket? Did they
No.
teach you that?
No.
So her
your
whole thing
te-
is nobody
correct me
taught
if
me
I'm
the right
mistaken,
thing.
Ms. Mazzola,
That's why I
your
didn't do my job.
testimony that you received absolutely no training on how to answer that question. That is, has the scene been altered? If so, by whom and how? Is that a fair statement, that you really didn't receive any training on how to answer those questions at a crime scene?
Yes.
That was the answer that possibly could have saved her. Yes, nobody taught me that. Nobody told me how to do that. But this is also a problem because they've asked her several times if she was just an assistant. They've called her an assistant. And She keeps saying, "Oh, I'm not an assistant. We don't have assistant criminologist. I'm a criminologist 1. I'm not an assistant."
Oh yeah, no,
So-
she refused to be called a trainee. That was her.
Oh, that's what it was. It was a trainee.
She was
not an
very
assistant,
offended
sorry,
by
yeah.
that, even though that was technically her
Yeah.
the term that they referred to her with. And so she could have very easily said, "Well, I was just a trainee," you know,
This was her out.
not my
She
job,
could've
not
said,
my
"Nope."
job. They didn't
Right,
train
yeah,
me properly.
Nobody told me that. Exactly.
Mhm.
And instead, she made a big stink about how she's a real criminologist, a criminologist 1. She's not a trainee, so
She can't have it both ways. It's an issue, and you know,
she probably
idea.
likes it both ways.
Well, I don't want to imagine
Probably
that.
not.
Don't
Yeah,
make me
probably
think. It's early. I don't want to.
All right, let's go.
No, too much. Just kidding. It'd be different if she was hot.
Yes, it would.
Very different.
Now, on June 13th, Ms. Mazzola, you started out by going to Rockingham, right?
Ms. Mazzola.
Correct.
Then you went to Bundy.
Right.
Then you went back to Mr. Simpson's house at Rockingham, is that right?
That's correct.
Then you returned to the laboratory.
Correct.
And on the morning of June 14th, you were in the laboratory processing samples. Is that right?
Let's see, on the morning of the 14th,
When you first arrived?
I was working, filling out property reports for a car search we had done previously.
You didn't do any processing of samples on the 14th?
Not in the morning, no.
And you then went out and you went to the Bronco on the 14th?
Correct.
And is the reason you went out with Dennis Fung on the 14th to the Bronco because it's a standard LA Police Department SID procedure that once a criminalist becomes involved in the case, he or she continues with the case and subsequent searches and investigations?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, there are exceptions to that?
If you are absolutely unable to get away, if you had to go to court or something like that, another criminalist would step in.
Okay, but aside from either illness or you have responsibilities testifying in court, it's the standard procedure at LAPD that once a criminalist is assigned to a case, that he or she sticks with it for each of these searches. Is that correct?
For the most part, yes.
And that's why you went back on the 14th to the Bronco with Dennis Fung?
Correct.
But in this case, ma'am, you didn't stick with this case beyond the 14th, did you?
That's correct. Well, I take that back. We did go for the Bentley.
What day was that?
Wait, what?
May I check my...
Please.
She didn't stick with it past the 14th. Wasn't that the day after the crime? Or which 14th are we talking
Yeah.
about here?
I was on the 30th.
Oh, wow.
Hold on a second. She was only on the case for 1 day? What?
Are you confused, Chandler?
On June 28th, you
Welcome-
did not
welcome.
participate
Join the club.
in the search of the Bronco, did you?
I didn't know that.
Oral.
We're all
No.
confused.
And on June 28th, you did not participate with Dennis Fung in the search of Mr. Simpson's home, did you?
No.
On each of those occasions, to your knowledge, Mr. Fung had another team member, right?
P.
If you know.
I don't
Answer
know.
question.
I don't know.
And on July 3rd, when Mr. Fung went back out to Bundy on a crime scene investigation, you didn't go with him on that occasion either.
No.
To your knowledge, Ms. Mazzola, was it Dennis Fung's decision that you be replaced on this case?
Sustained.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, on June 28th, were you out sick?
I don't believe so.
On June 28th, were you in court testifying?
I don't believe so.
On July 3rd, were you out sick?
I don't believe so.
On July 3rd, were you in court testifying?
I don't believe so.
Do you know, well, who made the decision, Ms. Mazzola, to your knowledge, that you should not go out with Dennis Fung on those subsequent searches in connection with this case?
Sustained. Assumes facts not known. Rephrase the question.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you were no longer
I
his
can't
team member
unhear Mazzola now.
on those
I
June
know.
28th and
I
July
love the way he
3rd
says it.
investigations. Is that correct?
Sustained. Assumes facts that aren't in evidence, counsel.
You weren't present with Dennis Fung on either of those occasions, were you?
No.
And Your Honor, subject to connection, there's already been testimony about investigations done on
Wait.
those dates.
Wait. Ask your next
Sorry.
question.
Had you been told by anyone at SID that you would not be accompanying Mr. Fung on June 28th for those investigations in connection with this case?
No.
Had you been told by anyone that you would be not at SID, that you would not be accompanying Dennis Fung on the July 3rd investigation in connection with this case?
No.
Flux has some good OJ jokes too.
Oh, she does.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, to your knowledge,
She's
was there
firing
a
off
decision
stuff
made
last
by
week.
anybody at SID to replace you on this case?
Still assumes backstop.
Oh,
I have no knowledge about that.
Do you have knowledge of anything, Ms. Mazzola?
Now, let's just jump ahead a second to the June 14th search you did of the Bronco at the print shed, okay?
Okay.
And I believe you mentioned that you did what's known as a phenolphthalein test on the accelerator, the brake pedal, and the emergency brake pad. Is that correct?
That's correct.
No,
And
Flux. They're only
when you did those
inappropriate
three
for
tests,
us to read out loud. They're
Did you
not
place a
inappropriate
single
for
swab
you to
of
post.
cotton on each of those
True.
three items?
The
that what you
Thanksgiving one is
did?
my favorite.
I was told just to use one swab and test all three.
Test
Sorry,
all
what?
three with one
I was
swab.
told to use one swab and test all three.
Did you use one swab for all three? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Are you
Okay, so in other words,
kidding?
you use the same swab on the accelerator, the brake
Game on,
pad,
Flux.
and the emergency brake. Is that right?
That's correct.
Who was it who told you that you should use the same swab to do a presumptive test for blood on three separate items?
Some retard.
Mr. Fung.
Yep.
Christ. She is. Oh God. She one swab to test three different stains for blood.
You know what that's
one
like?
swab.
That's like when you go on the Maury show and you have three baby daddies, you're not sure who's the father, and Maury just says, "Oh, let them all just, come in the same container and we'll just test it like that." It just
It's
doesn't
like
make sense.
using the same toilet paper to wipe three different people's asses.
It's not good. It's definitely
No,
not good
it's
because
bad.
let's say that there are three swabs and those three swabs have DNA belonging to three different individuals. Okay? And each DNA sample is contained to each. Oh my
The
god.
lane of evidence.
I don't need to explain it, do I? It's common freaking
No.
sense.
We're
Jesus.
smart. We don't need to have that explained to us.
No.
Yeah,
No.
one swab for three separate blood stains.
I mean,
And who taught her that? Dennis Fung.
And you know what I love is like she's so like, I'm not a trainee. It's like, lady, you want to be a trainee. Only trainees make mistakes like that and are allowed to get away with it. Seriously. She's an idiot.
And Flux has started.
Oh god.
Flux has started.
She was like, well, you gave me
yeah.
permission.
So
We love you, Flex.
So she just forcibly chucked Dennis Fung under the bus a few minutes ago. Then he crawls out and right there, okay, get right back under that bus.
So
Dennis
she wants
Fung.
all the credit for a terrible investigation.
Dennis Fung taught her to use one swab for three separate blood stains.
I'm starting to see why they were on the stand for like almost a collective 2 weeks together. Jesus Christ.
Prior to your going out there on June 14th, had you received any instruction or training on the use of the phenolphthalein test?
Yes.
And when you received that training, Ms. Mazzola, didn't they tell you that you should use separate swabs on separate items?
Yes.
Well, when Mr. Fung, your supervisor that day on June 14th, told you to use the same single swab on 3 different items to test for the presence of blood, did you say to him, Mr. Fung, Dennis, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing? Did you say that?
No.
He was your supervisor that day, is that right?
Yes.
And so you just followed his directions, is that right?
Yes.
And is the reason you followed his directions that day, Ms. Mazzola, because you didn't want to rock the boat?
Say yes, save yourself. Say yes, save
I wouldn't
yourself.
call it rocking the boat.
Well, Ms.
Okay,
Mazzola,
you
this was
just
a
killed
relatively
yourself.
new job for you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd only been there since January of 1994.
Correct.
Would it be fair to say you didn't want to lose that job?
That would not make me lose my job.
Ms. Mazzola, I asked you a question. Would it be
She's
fair
not
to say
answering
you
it.
didn't want to lose that job?
Overruled.
If I had questioned Mr. Fung, that would not be cause for me to lose my job.
Ms. Mazzola, would it be fair to say you didn't want to lose that job at that point?
Overruled.
Objection, unresponsive.
You can answer the question. She still has the job, and it's much later. I assume
I
she still
didn't,
wants the
right, I
job.
did not want to lose the job, and that would not make me
You
lose
were
it.
on probation at that time, weren't you,
Wait a
Ms.
second,
Mazzola?
wait a
Yes.
second.
And
Yes. Yes.
Oh, sorry, was I muted? Was that Ito testifying that? Or who said that about her still having the job just now?
That was Ito.
Is it?
You're saying
is
she's
it-
kept her job for a long time. Move on.
I mean, is it just me or is that like a little bit improper? Or did I just do that? Like, he's letting
Cam?
her. He's letting her off the hook, and she's not answering the question. That's kind of frustrating.
It is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a murder trial or anything. Christ.
Let's see what other shenanigans. Is it just me? Did she have like a severe nose wrinkle, or did she have a piercing at one time? Nobody pierced their nose in '88, did they? Unless they were like some sort of punk rocker.
I think you're seeing the reflection of the bottom rim of her glasses, like the
Could be.
bifocal
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really just it's the glasses. It's the way it's
So
they're
that's like
sitting
the
on her
spot.
face.
If she was out in the sun, that's like the spot where her nose would burst into flames.
Maybe.
critical comments of supervisors could have an impact on whether or not you would pass that probation. Is that correct?
To some extent, yes.
How many other cases did these
And Ms.
people work
Mazzola,
on?
when you looked at those three items, the accelerator, the brake pad, and the emergency brake pedal, you did not observe any red stains on them. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And the purpose of this phenolphthalein test, Ms. Mazzola, is to learn whether there could be blood present. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
In fact, there were stains that you tested on June 13th, which weren't even red. Isn't that correct? I'm sorry, I see from a furrowed brow that it was an unclear question. I'll
Right.
withdraw it. Would you agree, ma'am, that some of the stains that you examined on June 13th at Rockingham, for instance, weren't red stains, but nevertheless, you did a phenolphthalein test?
I can't remember.
Well, you did do some tests at Rockingham, which were negative, correct?
Correct.
For instance, you looked at stains in the family room at Mr. Simpson's house, correct?
Correct.
You did a phenolphthalein test there.
Oh,
and they were
nobody looks at
negative,
stains
correct?
in my
Correct.
family
And
room.
you
That'd
saw
be
stains
awkward.
on the garage at Mr. Simpson's house, correct?
On the garage. I
Gross stuff.
don't remember those.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were to look at your notes, your field notes from that
Yes.
day?
Oh, there's a perfect little break. There's a little break in the testimony so we can hit the daily quick bites. It's interesting watching her try to buck up and fight back, and then she goes back to her soul being filleted bit by bit.
I mean, it should be.
And Jim Satala, who's been a member of the Lean and Sober crew for 4 months, says, I'm actually surprised that all of the blood and DNA evidence wasn't suppressed / excluded because they contaminated all of the samples. Nothing can be proven. Well, this was kind of standard operating procedure until this case. So it probably would have some serious repercussions these days. But back then, this just what it was.
Yeah, I
Yay.
get that. I mean, honestly, like considering the horrendous way that this whole thing was conducted by both criminologists who were on the stand, I'm surprised they didn't look back over like every single case that these two had ever been involved in. Now, I know she wasn't with the department for long, but Fung was with them for a while, and he should have been more closely examined.
Well, and again, the reason we're doing this, if for those of you that may not have watched this for a while, I haven't brought this up for a while, but the main reason we're doing this is not to prove one way or the other he's guilty or he's innocent. It's just to show you how, if you carefully examine the evidence, you can clearly see that there is sufficient room for a jury to find that there is reasonable doubt going on here. Just in the last hour, we've heard that they don't fill in who collected the evidence at the time they collected it. We've heard that she has no training about how to fill out a basic form. She has no training on how to fill out the box on this basic form that says, has anybody been in the crime scene and has it been altered in any way? She's testifying to all of these things that are just basic.
Yeah, nobody's even trained her to ask, like, did you move anything? Did you step on anything? Did you, were you in this area? Nothing like that. That's basic. I mean, that's stuff that like you see on CSI Miami. Like, yeah, everybody knows that now, at least.
And good God, she was trained by her supervisor, Dennis Fung, to use one swab to test 3 different stains for blood.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I want to show is how if you pay really close attention to what's going on, I mean, she's not even a major witness.
No, that's
she's a
beyond.
Big witness. She's the trainee to the head criminologist. And this is reasonable doubt right here, just in the last hour. Forget the rest of the 9 months of trial. Just listening to this last hour, I would have reasonable doubts unless they somehow solved it and saved her testimony.
Right. So this was a really important trial. And like when you first invited me to come on and watch this, I had a very different opinion of it. And the fact of the matter is that because this happened in 1995, there are a lot of people who have never seen this, and I had never seen it. I think it's really important to watch because it shows you that the jury actually did have a very good reason to acquit him. And everybody needs to be able to understand, where and how and why reasonable doubt came in. And no matter how you feel about his guilt or innocence, I mean, I think that he did it, but I don't think that I don't think that they met the burden of proof, and the burden of proof should be very high in any murder case. So I think the verdict was correct, even though I don't agree with the outcome.
And see, this is where the prosecution went horribly wrong. I mean, they have to, as far as the evidence collection, all that goes, they've got to deal with what they've got. But they spent 2 weeks explaining DNA evidence. And this was the very dawn of bringing DNA evidence into criminal trials. As those of you that watched this from day one during the opening statements, and we'll go back and watch the opening statements again after Mazzola, and we'll just kind of play through the damn trial from here until fucking eternity. But it was the one in her opening statements, Marcia Clark was talking about DNA evidence in a very science fiction-y way. She said, we're going to present DNA evidence. Perhaps you've heard it. Just like in the new movie, Jurassic Park. So she was explaining DNA in terms of the movie Jurassic Park, which had just come out. That's how brand new the concept of DNA evidence in courts was. And they spent 2 weeks just talking about DNA strands and RNA and how you do this and what it means. And you've got a jury of lay people going, all right, forget all this scientific stuff. We just have the person who collected the evidence say she didn't fill out the form right. She cross-contaminated stuff. There's blood that mysteriously shows up 2 weeks later. The glove doesn't fit. Yeah, okay, forget all this mumbo jumbo that we don't understand. We're looking at basic stuff here. I've got doubts. I can clearly see how it was reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, there were 3 jurors, I believe, who came together and they wrote a book after the trial. And you do learn from that book that those jurors had no idea how blood evidence worked. I mean, one of them thought that, the blood that was clearly from Ron and Nicole was something like, oh, he like took like blood from one of his kids or something and put it there. There was another thing where they thought that like, oh, that they were lying about it and they just like replaced it somehow with via some kind of like, I don't know, osmosis or alchemy, or they clearly did not. The explanation did not get through to them. So whatever Marcia Clark tried to do to explain that, they should have gotten an expert witness who could have dumbed it down enough for a jury to understand, but they didn't really have that laid out properly. And so unfortunately the jury didn't get it. And I think that is definitely the fault of the prosecution, because they should have been able to translate it in layman's terms. It's very important for them to figure out, how do we say this in a way that they understand what's going on here? And they didn't do it right. And then you have all the criminologists who are working with blood who are clearly doing something shady. So why would the jury trust anything of what they have to say? They're not good witnesses. Ultimately, looking at these two testimonies, we've literally just watched Fung and Mazzola this entire time, and all I've seen is reasonable doubt the entire time.
Yeah.
And that equals acquittal. And it should always equal acquittal.
Yeah. Just got nothing to add for that. It's just that. Yeah. It's like, don't try to dazzle them with this, don't try to dazzle non-scientists with scientific evidence, because they're going to blank it out. And that's literally, during this whole 2 weeks of nothing but nonstop, highly scientific DNA evidence. I think it was 2 or 3 days, because again, I know I've mentioned this a billion times. The trial started at the beginning of the second semester of my second year of law school and finished at the end of the first semester of my third year of law school. And I watched everything. I skipped so many damn classes, and then I recorded it and watched it when I got home. So I saw pretty much every minute of this trial, and I was fascinated by it. And it was during this 2 weeks of DNA presentation that I said, they've lost it. They've lost the jury. That's when I solidified in my head. All the other stuff, I pretty much had come to the conclusion that the jury should find him not guilty, whether he did it or not. Again, that's not important to me. It's how the jury should find things. But during that evidence, the DNA evidence said, okay, it's done. The jury, they've lost the jury. And then, of course, you get to the Furman and the glove, and then you're like, that's just icing on the damn cake.
Yeah. Like I said, set dressing, props, the prop master, put it all together. It was an LA production. It was staged. It was put, I don't see how it could not be. You don't have anticoagulants naturally occurring in your bloodstream. So how do they end up on that gate mixed in with the blood? I'd like to know. I would like somebody to explain that to me.
There, can't argue with you. There you go. Muralist 1 says, the Murdoch hearing just started. Will y'all be covering it on Monday? Probably. Monday we'll probably do Sarah Boone's hearing and Murdoch stuff. We got a lot of Murdoch news, so we'll probably have to sacrifice Maritime Monday one more week for some more Murdoch-y stuff.
Oh, well, it'll be Murdoch Monday then, I guess.
Murdoch Monday, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to use my Maritime Monday template to make like Murdoch Monday.
Everything has to be alliterative.
Yes, it does. Well, as long as we've stopped here, we got about 40 minutes left. We're burning up some good time today. We're making some good time. Just do our little quick midstream grift here. I want y'all to do me a big super favor. We've got 203 people here, and we've got 142 likes. I want you 203 people, any of you that haven't done so already, go over to my co-host, Remy_Legal's channel. While we're talking here, just open up another window. You don't have to stop watching us. Just open up another window, go to Remy_Legal, and hit her subscribe button. Do it.
That
won't
would
regret
be very
it.
nice. I would enjoy it very much. I just hit 2,000 subscribers, and I also just recently got monetized. I don't have ad revenue yet, but I do have super chats and super thanks. And eventually I'll probably set up memberships, but I want to do that when I have some really good content to bring you all. So it would make me very happy if you went over to my channel, checked out my content. And if you actually genuinely like it, if you think I'm doing a good job and you want to see more from me, please subscribe to me. And if you don't, I don't really care. But, just you're welcome to go and check stuff out.
And it would make me extraordinarily happy if you would also go down and hit the subscribe button for me. I assume all of you have hit the subscribe button because you're here. But if you are new and if you haven't watched this before and you don't know who the hell I am, I would be I would be honored if you would go down there and hit that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, as I said, YouTube deleted 2,137 subscribers in the space of 6.5 hours. Thankfully, they put them all back after a bunch of creators raised a huge wow, that was weird. A huge stink about it. But please make sure you're still subscribed. I would appreciate it. And then take our like and subscribe poll. How are we doing? See if people are loving me or hating me at the moment. Our like and subscribe poll is Vices was 5 minutes late because of smoking a premium Cuban cigar. 31% of you are gracious enough to say, well, that's understandable. 17% of you said, jury's still out. Only 16% of you said you made us wait, but it's forgivable. But disturbingly, in the lead with 35% of the vote is you should be buried in an anthill.
Oh my God. Well, that's, I mean, you know.
Great success. Not 2,000 subscribers, 2,137 subscribers. But like I said, most of them came back. Not all of them. Most of them came back. I think there was like 10 that we were down like 10-ish. But so that it's YouTube. And like a lot of people got hit with a lot of subscribers. But amongst the people I talked to, I was the king of getting yeeted. So there we go. Yes. Also, as King Ginger said, please make sure your notifications are on, etc., etc. Subscribe, hit all the notifications and all the bells and whistles and stuff just to make sure, because YouTube is asshole. All right, let's power through the next 40 minutes here. How are we looking on the actual thing? All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's bring back the bird nest lady and go for it.
Yes, you mean the door leading out to the garage?
Well, I'm just asking you whether it's the garage. If it was
Well,
the door leading out, that's...
Go subscribe to
correct.
House of
That's
Flux,
correct.
too.
That was negative.
Wait, both of you can't talk at the same time.
Sorry, Judge.
Let
Sorry.
me ask the question again. Did you also do a phenolphthalein test on some portion of the garage?
Correct,
And it was negative?
correct.
Now, when you get a negative result on a phenolphthalein test, that's conclusive, isn't it?
Yes,
And when I say it's conclusive, does it mean to you, and you've been taught, that it can't possibly be blood if it's negative?
correct.
However, a positive result, when that little swab turns that, I think you said magenta?
Magenta pink, yes.
Okay. Turns that magenta pink color, it's not a definitive result, isn't that right?
That's correct.
And in fact, all it means is that the stain could possibly be blood, right?
Right?
Right.
And the test that you do, this phenolphthalein test, it certainly isn't a test for human blood, isn't that right?
That's correct.
And in your training at this, at SID, did you learn, in fact, that there are many other substances other than blood, which can also give you that magenta color, which are in blood?
Yes,
And were you taught, ma'am, that some of them are the juices from common vegetables and fruits?
yes,
And were you also taught, ma'am, that even bacteria, germs, okay, that are invisible to the human eye, can also give a false positive when you do the phenolphthalein test?
I was not told about the germs, no,
We told about bacteria.
no,
We told about microorganisms.
no.
Well, you were taught how to do this test at the laboratory, is that right?
That's right.
When they taught you how to do this test at SID, did they encourage you to read scientific literature on the subject as well?
We did some reading, yes.
Okay. And was any of the reading that you did peer-reviewed articles in the scientific journals?
I believe one article was in a journal, the majority came from textbooks.
And have you ever read any scientific publication which talks about or describes how bacteria, invisible to the human eye, can give a positive test for the phenolphthalein test? subject to connection.
Overruled. Have you ever read such a thing?
No.
Ma'am, in your training at SID, did they ever teach you to use what are called negative controls?
Yes.
Could you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a negative control is?
It is using the same item, be it a swatch or a swab that you will use to collect a stain or to run a test. You run the test on a brand new, a different swab. It should be negative since nothing has been collected on the swab.
And ma'am, when you did the phenolphthalein test with the single swab on the brake pedal, the emergency brake, and the accelerator, you didn't use any negative control to see whether or not something else other than blood might be generating a false positive reaction, did you?
No.
And would you agree that other than the various vegetables and fruit juices and other substances that can generate a false positive, that sloppiness or carelessness on the part of a criminalist can also lead to a false positive?
I don't see how.
Well, let me ask you this hypothetical, Ms. Mazzola. If an inexperienced criminalist inadvertently touched an area where there is a blood stain on the carpet on the driver's side of that Bronco, inadvertently put their hand, even with a rubber glove, on either the pedal, the accelerator, or the brake pad, couldn't that leave a substance that would give you a positive result?
On the swabs we use? No.
You're saying that if you touched moist blood on the carpet and then brought your hand to the brake pedal, the emergency brake, or the accelerator, that absolutely could not generate a false positive or a positive result.
I hate you for that.
Is that your testimony?
Overruled.
Moist.
The swabs we use are not the normal Q-tips. They have an extremely long wooden handle. Our hands never come near the tip of the swabs.
What I'm asking you, ma'am, is not whether your hand comes close to the tip of the swab. What I'm asking you, if your hand at some other point.
Her
while you're
hand
in the
never
Bronco
comes close to the tip of the
touched
wood.
accidentally.
Oh, color
Okay,
me
if it did,
surprised,
hypothetical,
Andrea Mazzola.
touched accidentally a blood stain on the carpet. If that hand then inadvertently came into contact with the pedals while you're
With the
down
what?
there, mucking about in the car, could that generate a
Pedals?
positive result?
Hypothetically, it could.
Okay. Now,
Damn it.
on
I make
June
myself laugh
14th, it
sometimes.
was yours and Dennis Fung's job to collect every single blood stain on the outside and inside of the Bronco that was visible to you. Isn't that right?
Yes, I believe so.
And each time that you set out to collect bloodstains in this case, for each stain that you collected, Ms. Mazzola, weren't you instructed to collect as much of the stain as you possibly could collect?
Yes.
In fact, you were supposed to collect the entire visible stain. Isn't that right?
I believe so, yes.
Is there anyone in chat that thinks
And it
she's
would be
ever come
you were
anywhere
taught,
near the
ma'am,
tip of wood
to
in her
keep
life?
touching that blood stain until the blood was completely collected. Isn't that correct?
To get as much up as possible, yes.
And in fact, you've been taught by the laboratory that it was important to get as much up as possible in the event that DNA testing might be considered.
I think it was also just for basic serology, not necessarily DNA.
And on the morning of the 14th, you arrived at the print shed around 10:30?
May I check my notes for the
Please.
time?
I'm sorry, do you have an independent recollection of what time you arrived?
No.
Okay, then please do.
Yes. Yes, it was around 10:30.
And you stayed there for approximately 3 hours?
Approximately.
Okay. And when you were there during those 3 hours, the press wasn't there to distract you, were they?
We did not see them.
Okay. And was there a large group of detectives with you when you were at the print shed?
No,
So they weren't distracted. So the detectives weren't distracting you either that day, were they?
the detectives were really not a distraction to begin with.
In other words, Ms. Mazzola, when you were at the print shed on the 14th, you were able to pursue your tasks conscientiously and professionally as best you could. Is that right?
As we did on the 13th, yes.
And so was Dennis Fung, correct?
Yes.
And during those 3 hours that you were at the Bronco on June 14th, you made a systematic examination of the outside of that car, didn't you?
Mr. Fung and myself, yes.
And you systematically examined the entire exterior of the Bronco for even the smallest yet visible specks of blood. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And you looked on the fenders, right?
We looked at the outside.
Well, the fenders are part of the
Well,
outside,
right.
right?
Correct.
And you looked on the doors,
Correct.
top and bottom.
Yes.
And you pointed out to Dennis Fung every single stain that you noticed, correct?
He was a little better at picking out the stains than I was.
And Dennis Fung pointed out every stain that he noticed to you, didn't he?
Correct.
And isn't it true, Ms. Mazzola, that on June 14th, Dennis Fung never pointed out to you any dark red stains on the white metal portion of the sill on the driver's door, did he?
I don't remember if he did or not.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, did he point out any stains to you on that car, on the
Yes.
exterior?
Yes.
You actually remember him pointing out some stains, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you remember him pointing out a stain outside the passenger door, isn't that right?
Yes.
You actually remember that independently.
Yes.
And as you sit here today, you have no independent recollection of Dennis Fung ever pointing out to you any small stains on the sill of the driver's door. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, you would. One moment.
Well, while he's taking a moment, I love these little breaks. Wolfram with the $5 super chat. TMI, Jeff. That was referring to stains in my living room. Eric Holmes. Mazzola is wearing Pee Wee Herman's suit coat. Rip Pee Wee.
Aw.
F in chat for Pee Wee.
Yeah, I love Pee Wee. I watch Pee Wee every
Wow,
single
your
morning.
microphone is absolutely horrific right now.
Oh God, really? Fuck me.
It's like beyond horrific.
I'm so sorry.
Don't know what it is, but yeah. Ike Varnes with the Australian 20. All this talk about moist wood tips and petals is making me laugh like I'm back in second grade. That's right. I'm 39, going on 7. Thank you so much for the super chat. Right. I'm sorry. There we go. F's in chat for Pee Wee. Like 5 F's in chat for. Come on, Pee Wee people. There's got to be more than 8. There's got to be more than 8 people that want to rip Pee Wee with F in chat. Chandler,
Is my
how's
mic
your?
any better?
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
I'm so sorry. Somebody said, Chandler, take the mic out of your mouth. I swear it's too big for that.
I was gonna say that's what she said. I was gonna say F in chat for Chandler's mic, but you seem to have saved that.
I ordered a new cord. My cat chewed on the cord. I think that's what's going on. I have lots of technical difficulties, but for some reason I have 2,000 people subscribed to me, and I only have 28 videos, so I guess I'm doing something right. Thanks, everybody.
You are. Yeah, continue to subscribe to her.
And I will try to fix all my tech problems so that, you can enjoy the best version of me. I just have to, I have to replace a lot of my tech, I think.
Yeah, we all do. It's a thing.
I was just gonna say, this whole time I've been thinking about, I'm just waiting for him to go, now is it true, Ms. Mazzola, that you and Mr. Fung, you went into the Bronco and you had an Arby's roast beef sandwich and that all of that, all the stains are just from barbecue sauce you got all over the place?
Oh, Chandler, please don't talk about Mazzola and Arby's open face roast beef sandwiches. That
I
just makes
can't
me
help
ill.
it. That's all. I'm sorry. She's just.
I
love. Somebody's just
I
like
have-
she's a strong, independent woman. She puts her strap on one leg at a time.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want to think about her roast beef sandwich. Now
It's
stop.
too late. I already put the image in your head.
You did.
I did.
It's just like the Arby's sauce leaking out of it that freaks me out. Let's go.
Yeah, there are 4. Okay, I'm good.
Just moist.
I might have deserved that.
You a good spot, or do you need a few more questions on this line?
No, we could stop at this moment.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
please
ladies and
stop.
gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess for the court reporter, 15 minutes. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case, have any conversations with anybody about the case, conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. We'll see you back in 15 minutes. All right, Ms. Mazzola, you may step down. Mr. Neufeld?
They're back.
Your Honor. Ms. Mazzola had mentioned during cross-examination that on the morning of the 14th, she was not processing evidence, but instead she was filling out a report on another case. I'm asking that the people be compelled to instruct her to produce that report with her either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, preferably this afternoon, because what she did the morning of the 14th is a very relevant material matter which will be coming up in this cross-examination. The people are well aware of it.
Any difficulty locating the report?
I don't know, Your Honor, because I don't know whether they can track it down per case. But I told counsel that just generally speaking, I didn't see how that could possibly be discoverable, and therefore I would oppose it.
All right, we'll have a hearing 4:30.
What?
Excuse me?
4:30.
Okay, but I can even tell you in 10 seconds why it's discoverable, frankly.
4:30.
Okay.
Let's have the jurors. Let the record reflect, we've now been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Ms. Mazzola is again on the witness stand undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Neufeld. Good morning again, Ms. Mazzola.
Morning.
You're reminded you are still under oath, and Mr. Neufeld, you may continue.
Oath is the name of her girlfriend, by the way.
When we left off, Ms. Mazzola, you said that you had no present recollection of ever being shown any smears or red stains in the sill area of the
Can we not talk
driver's
about smears
side
and red stains?
of the Bronco door. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you had been taught, Ms. Mazzola, that if you had seen smears or stains, that you should photograph them. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you had been taught one moment.
Certainly.
I'll show you what's been offered as defendant's 1097.
Kardashian's in court today. It's been a while since we've had a Kardashian sighting. We still can't because Doogie Howser won't move. And then he's behind the Elmo. Yes, the person who's responsible for the Kardashians is in court.
That photograph has any markings on it, so it's not, doesn't appear to be report specific.
All right.
I love that other day he was in court and you pointed at him and you were like, it's his fault. It's all his fault. And I'm like, what? And you were like, the whole thing, the empire, the Kardashians, Chris, the whole family.
Yeah. Well,
Caitlyn,
OJ might be responsible for one of them.
Yeah, well. You should still make that joke. You said you don't want to, but I think you should.
Mr. Harris's representation that it's 1097.
Ms. Mazzola, just so there's no misunderstanding,
Good work.
when I talk about the
Not terrible
white
idea.
sill area on the driver's door, I'm referring to, did you know when I asked you those questions, that I was referring to that white strip of metal, which is under
Yes,
and
Peter
next to,
Neufeld and Dennis Fung are the
driver's door.
co-founders of the
I had
Innocence
an idea
Project.
that's what
You
you
did
were.
have an idea.
They're
Okay.
both New
In
Yorkers.
fact, during your prep session with the district attorney,
Excuse me. Ms. Mazzola, please let him finish answering asking the question before you start to answer. The court reporter can only write down one person at a time. All right, thank you.
in fact, during your prep sessions with the prosecutors, did they tell you that the issue of whether or not there were blood stains located on the sill area was an issue in the case? Did that come up at all during your prep
It
session?
came up,
Okay.
yes.
That's what she said.
And one moment. I need. fact, Ms. Mazzola, the only stains or smears that you saw anywhere on the exterior of the car on the 14th was a couple of tiny specks on the passenger door. Isn't that correct? On the exterior passenger door.
From independent recollection, yes.
Well, let me show this. Next in order would be,
Defense, 1113.
thank you. Show you, that is 1113. Is that picture familiar to you? You recognize it?
Yes.
And what is it a picture? I'm sorry. Is that a photograph of what is item 20 in this case that you referred to on direct examination?
Let me make sure that's the right.
Okay.
How do we already have limited ads on this stream? We've done nothing. I hate
Yes.
YouTube.
It was the roast beef curtains.
That's on the passenger side, correct? The opposite side?
Correct.
Okay.
There. I've
Arby's.
appealed it.
Now,
Was you saying
you
moist?
said you had been taught that
Probably.
if you had seen other stains or smears on the exterior of the car, that you had been taught that they too would have been photographed, correct?
Yes.
And you had also been taught, ma'am, that if you saw stains that could possibly be blood, that you were also instructed to swatch them. Is that correct? And bring them back to the laboratory?
If they were phenol positive, yes, we would collect them.
Okay, so you were instructed then to do a pheno test as well on stains?
If there's any question, yes.
And obviously no pheno test was done on any portion of the driver's sill on the 14th, isn't that right?
I honestly don't remember.
Well, well, let me ask you this. If a pheno test was done, would it be recorded in your notes?
Yes.
Okay. Would you please look at your notes to see whether or not any pheno test was done on the sill of the driver's door to the Bronco?
No, one was not done.
Excuse me?
One was not done.
Okay. Now I show you what is already in evidence as People's 197A.
Yes.
Bueller.
See that?
Yes.
Oral secretary reflected that she is being shown this matter, however, on the Elmo. Do you want to show her the printout?
Sure. Let me show you another copy. This is 197B. This is prosecution's exhibit. Take a look at this as well. And does 197B appear to be the same image as appears on the Elmo, only a little bit better resolution?
It appears so, yes.
Okay.
Elmo doesn't murder people.
Now, do you see the specks that are circled in that picture? There are 3 circles.
Yes.
And those specks that are circled, ma'am, they could simply be dirt, couldn't they?
It's possible.
Well, they're not red, are they?
From this photo, it's hard to tell.
Well, in that photograph, do they appear to be red to you, ma'am?
They actually look more brown.
Now, let me ask you a hypothetical, Ms. Mazzola. You actually have seen the car, right? You've been out there?
Yes,
You've seen the car when the door was opened on the driver's side when the door was closed?
yes,
Here's a hypothetical. If Detective Furman said that he saw 4 brush marks on the lower area of the driver's door. Now, what I want you to assume for this hypothetical, Ms. Mazzola, is that these 4 marks that are circled in that picture are the same 4 marks that Detective Furman claims he saw. Would Detective Furman have had to open the driver's door to see at least 2 of those 4 marks?
Sustained. It's argumentative.
All right.
Rephrase it.
Ma'am, you see the location of the various specks that are circled in that photograph.
yes,
To see the 2 specks on the upper circle, you see where the 2 circles are?
yes,
Would the door, the driver's door, have to be in the open position to see those 2 specks?
Overruled. Overruled. You can answer that question.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it would have to be open or closed.
I'll take a look at this. Next in order is
1114. All right, defense 1114.
Let me show you what is marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1114. And where's the duplicate?
Confusion in the courtroom. You're not wrong, Jason.
Photograph of the Bronco.
It's a puppet made of
And I will show
fabric.
you
Driver's side.
a duplicate copy of the
But
same
no,
photograph.
the last part of that text is correct.
So you can see it close up.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about the dude in particular, but
Yes.
you know. I never really watched Sesame Street. Mm. I don't know, weirdo's gonna weird, I
Well.
guess.
But nah, just kidding. You know, he was acquitted of all charges. So yes, you are incorrect. Just had to make you know, yeah, had to make sure.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not interesting to me. Sorry, just some people are weird.
You had a chance to look at them both, and if you want more time, just tell me.
Okay, a little bit more time.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Mazzola, have you had enough time to look at that?
Yes, I have.
All right, do you need a magnifying glass or anything like that?
No,
All right, proceed.
Have you had an opportunity to look at the photograph of the Bronco?
yes,
And that is a photograph of the Bronco at the print shed, ma'am?
yes, it is.
And that's the way it appeared on June 14th?
Yes,
And ma'am, now that you've had a chance to look at that photograph of the Bronco, I now ask you once again,
Could the court reporter hear him, or was it just, indiscernible? Like when we do the depth sidebars, it's like, so you're saying that...
Yeah.
Wonder if anybody ever wrote a children's book from the perspective of the gloves.
having looked at that photograph,
Wow.
and I'm also, once again,
Okay, not a
looking at,
children's book, but like an artistic
1097.
story.
You see that on the monitor?
yes,
If the gloves could talk.
Would you agree, ma'am, that if the, you've seen that not long enough?
yes,
Okay. Now, would you agree that in order to see
No, the screen beside her is
specs
just an old CRT
that
monitor.
are in the
It's just
upper of the 2
showing
circles,
what's being shown
two
there.
circles
Yes.
on top of each other?
The
Now, in
Elmo
order
is
to
like
see
an
those two
overhead
specs, The door
projector.
would have to be in the open position.
Sustained. Rephrase the question, Foundation.
One moment. When you went out to the scene on the 14th, you systematically examined the Bronco exterior, did you not?
Overrule as the scene. Do you mean the print shed?
At the print shed, right?
Yes,
In fact, that's what your vehicle search inspection list requires you to do, to make a systematic examination of the exterior of the car. Isn't that right?
yes, it does.
And you did that.
Mr.
With
Fung and
Dennis
myself,
Fung.
correct.
All right. And you examined the door of the car, correct?
Yes,
And you examined it both in the closed position and the open position, correct?
yes,
And based on now what you examined that day in the open position and closed position of the door, and having looked at these photographs, would you agree that in order to see the specs in the upper circle, that the door would have to be in the open position?
Oh,
it's hard to say. I'm not sure how far the bottom of the Bronco flares out. From the pictures, I can't say if it would have to be open or closed.
Ma'am, in the pictures that you have in front of you, doesn't the door of the Bronco come down flush with the outer edge of that sill? In the pictures that you have.
I'm not sure if it's flush or not. There's a bottom strip that could be out a little further. From the picture, it's a little hard to tell.
It's not going so smoothly today for the defense.
By the way, Ms. Mazzola, though, this one's up, okay. To the best of your recollection, ma'am, you didn't even see the specs in that upper circle on the 14th, did you?
To the best of my recollection, I did not.
And you did not see the spec in the lower circle, did you?
No,
And you did not see the smear or grayish discoloration indicated in the third circle, did you?
no.
You didn't see any of those on the 14th, did you?
To the best of my recollection, I did not.
Right. Ms. Mazzola, you didn't see them the morning of the 13th either, did you?
I wasn't,
overruled.
on the 13th, I don't believe I was looking that carefully.
Ms. Mazzola, you were shown the car on the 13th by the detectives, didn't you? Weren't you?
Yes,
And you walked over with the detectives and Dennis Fung to examine the Bronco, didn't you?
yes,
And in fact, I think you said that you personally even swatched the stain on the handle of the Bronco, didn't you?
yes,
And that stain was pointed out to you by Detective Furman, wasn't it?
I'm not sure which one pointed it out.
Well, you were there when Detective Furman pointed it out to, well, I'm sorry, withdrawing. You were at the Bronco with Dennis Fung and other detectives when one of the detectives pointed out a small speck near the handle in the driver's door. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And at that point in time, when that speck was pointed out to you and Dennis Fung, no other speck was pointed out to you and Dennis Fung on the exterior of the car. Isn't that correct?
I don't remember. I just remember the one on the driver's handle.
Well, with respect to your independent recollection,
With
Ms.
respect to the
Mazzola,
spec.
as it stands today, is it fair to say that you have no independent recollection of any detective showing you any other
Hang on, I'll be
speck
right back.
or stain on that car other than the speck next to the driver's handle?
That I can recall.
That's what I'm
No.
asking you. Your independent recollection. what you
My
can
independent
recall.
recollection, no.
Thank you. By the way, Ms. Mazzola, when you do a phenolphthalein test, have you been taught that there are confirmatory tests that you can do back at the laboratory?
That is why we collect the positive stains.
And the reason, I'm sorry, and the confirmatory test that can be done back in the laboratory would tell you whether or not it was in fact blood, as opposed to some other substance which created a false positive. Isn't that correct?
I am not in the serology section. I don't know.
Well, I'm not asking you for what test is done. I'm asking you whether or not you were told that there are tests that are done back at the serology laboratory to confirm whether or not an item which you suspected might be blood was in fact blood as opposed to something else.
It's possible, yes.
Possible.
And there are also confirmatory tests that you've been taught about which can tell you whether something is human blood as opposed to some animal blood. Isn't that right?
I have heard of those tests, yes.
Well, good.
And as you sit here today, ma'am, referring to those specs that you collected, which are item 20 on the passenger door,
Yes.
to your knowledge, has there ever been any confirmatory test done to determine whether or not that speck on the door was human blood?
It's a stain. It's a vague question, which you're referring to item 20 in photograph number defendants 1113, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. You understand the question, Ms. Mazzola?
No.
Item 20, the 3 specs on the passenger door. Is that what he's referring to?
Right.
What I'm asking you is with respect to the specs on the door, okay, in
Okay.
item 20.
Right.
As you sit
Passenger,
here
excuse me,
today,
counsel, you keep on saying specs, and Mr. Harris put up another photograph. We're talking about 1113 passenger door specs 20, correct?
yes,
All right, proceed.
okay. With respect to those
Nice.
2 specs that you see in the picture to the left of the number 20,
Oh, God.
to your knowledge, has there ever been a confirmatory test to determine whether or not those specs are human blood?
Overruled. Do you know if they were tested?
I do not know if they were tested.
Could have been dog blood. We don't know.
When the detectives showed you the spec the morning of the 13th on the driver's door, not number 20, but the spec on the driver's door, that was right after Dennis Fung and the detectives had this discussion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And was Dennis Fung with you when the detectives pointed out the spec on the driver's door?
Overruled.
Yes.
Now, at both Rockingham and Bundy, did the detectives tell you which items to collect?
They showed us different items, and between talking with Mr. Fung, they all decided which ones should be collected as evidence.
Dennis Fung and the detectives decided?
Correct.
That's going to be my new band name, Dennis Fung and the Detectives.
It's not bad.
During your
Oh, that's a perfect
training
Oh, that was a perfect
at
ending.
the
but I-
SID Mini
I missed it.
Academy,
Oh, well.
did you receive handouts
Makes
from
me think of
time to
Elvis
time
Costello.
on how to conduct crime scene investigations?
Watching
We
the-
received various handouts, yes.
Okay. SSB mark next in order.
1115.
All right. Well, that's a good place to end. We'll end right here at the 132 mark, and then we can pick up next week at the 130 mark. We actually did pretty darn good today. We got through an entire hour of testimony in 2 hours.
Nice.
Far better than we usually do.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry you guys couldn't see me. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with my camera before tomorrow, because we're doing F It Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, we gotta work that out.
Yep.
And that'll be the debut of the new album from Dennis Fung and the Detectives.
Nice.
I still want to start a band just so I can call it Dennis Fung and the Detectives.
I have like a list of band names, just that I.
Well, now Dennis Fung and the Detectives is the top of my list.
Yeah, I'll have to share my list with you sometime. It's very creative.
I never thought of actually putting them down. I think of lots of good names. I never write them down.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a list in like the notes app on my phone. It's there's some good ones in there.
Done already. Bummer. No, it is not. It has not been done. Don't lie. But see, now you've trolled me, and I actually have to search for this.
Search for what? What are you searching for?
Dennis Fung and the Detectives. There's no way there's an actual band named that.
I don't think there is.
There isn't. Right. All right. I just had to check. All right. I have Dennis Fung the Detectives pre-ordered. Okay, everybody. That is our 2-hour show for the evening. Let's see where we ended up here with 176 of you here. I don't think there's anywhere to send you right now because nobody seems to be streaming that is doing anything that I consider particularly interesting, and that's all I care about. Let's see if anybody's changed here in the past little bit. Places to send you.
Actually, oh no. Well, in about an hour, I know that Branka is doing an interview with somebody who is going to be, or I don't know if it's an interview, but they're going to be talking about the New Mexico governor and how she's trying to suspend 2A, which that I'm excited. Oh, Kaiser Pineapple, I think, is live.
Yep. I see that. Edge of Reality.
Yeah. And Kaiser just got monetized like me. That was he came on to my monetization celebration stream. Jeff, we're gonna have to do just a stream you and me because I wanted to thank everybody who helped me get like my little slice of success on YouTube. But obviously you've been an enormous part of it. I would not be here if you didn't peer pressure me and bully me into it. So I would love to have you on. Let's plan that for sometime soon.
All right, you schedule away. That's it.
And speaking of scheduling,
yes.
Should we talk about scheduling?
Scheduling what?
Well, what's coming up?
Well, we'll get there in just a bit.
Yeah.
First,
I see.
What's coming up with you?
Well, tomorrow I am planning to pop on to F It Friday. I have a con law final on Saturday, so I don't know how long I can stay on, but I will try to be on for as long as I can. And then I'm also doing my regular evening show, F Feminism. I'm going to be doing that at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Flux will be my special guest. She just confirmed that she's going to come on with me. So we're going to talk about how feminism is terrible and how much we think that it should be removed from society and that it is a scourge upon, humanity and such.
I'll be watching that, definitely.
That'll be fun. Yeah. So that's what's coming up for me.
Cool. Well, for me is obviously tomorrow is F It Friday, where, as I said, we just try to liberate you from all of your money in one major griftathon, where we have a great cast lined up of a great panel prepared for all of you. Let me get the panel list again. So far, the panel list so far for F It Friday. Again, some may not show up. It just depends. These are the yes, I'm coming, and the definite maybe cast here. That Star Wars girl, potentially criminal, Chrissy Mayer, Lila Hart, Good Logic, Megan Fox, Natalie Wisco, Steve Gosney, Nina Infinity, Runkle of the Bailey, Aussie Overlord, Chandler Remington, Ari Jacob, Lauren De Laguna, Waifu Kron, Jess, Law Lady 579, Talk with Sally, and Steph the Alter Nerd. Those are people that may be showing up on the F It Friday stream. So bring all of your super chat money and throw it at me. Every $100 gets a drink of one whiskey or another. And we just get liquored up and have a great old time. And conversation just flows to whatever it flows to. You guys are awesome. So we'll see you there tomorrow on F It Friday. Monday will be a Sarah Boone and a Murdoch update. And then Tuesday and Wednesday will be more Johnny Depp sidebar readings. You're not going to want to miss those because Wednesday and Thursday will be Amber Heard's cross-examination. We'll look into some scary sidebars. And that'll take us to Thursday, which is OJ Day, and then whatever happens next Friday. So boom, there you go. That takes us right to where we need to be. So everybody, Mods, thank you for being here and doing your job. You guys rock. I literally could not do this without your beneficial and wonderful assistance. Chat, you all know the Vice Squad chat is the best chat on the entire internet, particularly those of you that come here every Thursday loyally and watch OJ, which is just our basic little chill stream for the day. We don't have a huge turnout, but we have fun while we're here. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends about it. And, never mind. I thought we did get all the super chats out of the way. That's cool. So everybody, thank you again. And make sure you go subscribe to Remy_legal. And like and subscribe to me. The final results of the What Do We Do with the Law Racks poll is Vices was 5 minutes late because he was smoking a premium Cuban cigar. 17% of you said, you made us wait, but forgivable. 18% of you said, jury's still out. And tie, I'll take it's still a tie. That is understandable. And you should be buried in an anthill. So, hey, half of you love me. 1/3 of you love me. 1/3 of you hate me because I was late. And the other third don't really care. So cool. All right. But we will be here on time for F It Friday tomorrow. Until then, let's go check out, see what's happening over on Kaiser Pineapple's stream. He's talking about spooky stuff. Until then, see you. Law Racks is out, reminding you to, whatever you do, enjoy your legal vices.
How dare you!
Keep that in mind.